What's up, guys? Nate and Craig here. We are back for, I don't know what week this is. Is it week 4?
5. This is show number 5. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Run Experience Live. We have a special guest with us today, Nora Dog.
Nora Dog, she's down here. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Here, let me hold this. All right.
There we go. So we'll get that guy set up right there just to get the little microphone camera going here. Yeah, what's up, lady? So, guys, we are back for another week. We got a few things to talk to you about today. We're pretty pumped about it.
This is how you set it up?
I'm not the microphone expert here. Craig is trying a new little camera setup, and of course,
there we
get him to go set up.
Now
Hey,
full view.
there we go.
Okay, hold on.
So, guys,
I'm going to just correct this right here.
we're getting our lens all set up and together. Yeah, there we go.
You guys see us?
Now, we want to make sure that sound and everything is all good to go. And so if you guys can go ahead and just drop in the comments and let us know, that would be amazingly helpful.
All right. There we go. That works.
There we go. This is working so much better.
Okay, so what are we talking about today? We have a whole host of things. First of all, but definitely not least, is that we are starting our Healthy Habits Challenge on Monday.
We are. We have Elizabeth Inpine, our resident nutritionist. She is going to be leading the charge with a 30-day program that's going to actually just kind of like tweak like one little habit around eating at a time. In the beginning, it's going to have to do with like
There we go.
putting a little bit of lemon juice in your water in the morning. Have you ever done that?
I don't know anybody who does that.
It's that's right. You're like the lemon ice cube king. It's delicious and amazing. And anyway, it's such a tasty thing to do. Good. I'm glad the sound is good too as well. And then you guys are going to move forward to the Healthy Habits Challenge to really cool things like how to be like a ninja in the grocery store and how to get all the stuff you need, how to pack a lunch. You know how many of us eat out at lunch?
We always eat in.
Well, we're weird, but I mean, by by and large, I think a lot of people do, and just the simple power of like figuring out how to, cook more the night before and bring that in for a better lunch the next day is really, really big. So anyway, so that's happening, and it's technically closed, but if you've missed the boat and you really want to become a training club member, because that's how you get a ticket to this thing, you can email us and maybe we can sneak in.
We actually have, hopefully there'll be a link there somewhere. I will put up the, is that going to work? I don't know. We're still learning how to do this, guys. If you go to, basically if you join the training clubs, if you just go to therunexperience.com and you go to the training club, you can join and then we'll put you into the Healthy Habits Challenge. Technically, yeah, it's closed, but we can slide you in. You can get emails now. It's Thursday? You still have 3 or 4 days before it actually starts. So we have some prep that people are doing to get ready for all of their healthy habits.
It's going to be great. And Elizabeth is going to be actually bringing on some different guests each week for a little live recorded coaching call. Different from the live show. It's going to be exclusive to the members. Her first guest is going to be Tina Muir of
Nice.
Yeah, formerly of Runners Connect. Now she's got her own thing going on, and she's got a great podcast, and she's just a fantastic, lovely, and somewhat hilarious British person.
That's how you describe her? What about?
I think she made a
professional runner. That whole thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she is a very, very good runner, and she's a very good professional runner. But I don't.
That's not why we have her on. I mean, obviously, it's because she's British, and we like British people.
I don't judge runners by their skill, all right? I see runners of all skill levels at all times.
Yeah. And we have some... Oh, can we talk about our customer service?
Yes.
We could?
Yeah,
why not? So we're very excited. We put a call out to all of you guys on our internal, if you're in the training club, we put a call out to all of our members that we're looking for somebody to help us on our customer service team. And we were thrilled at how many responses we got. And yeah, so we are really happy.
We got like 20.
Yeah. which is great. I mean, that's how many people actually gave us a resume. We went through it and had questions and so on and so forth. But we're really excited because, part of what we do here is really we want this to be a personal experience when you guys are jumping on with us for the training club, and that we can help you out with training. And we are so many people now. Both, our team is growing here. We have like 9 people now, and in terms of our athletes, we have so many of you guys in our training groups that we need more help. And so we're so happy to welcome Miss Lee Beam. Oh, you took it away, right? Miss Lee Beam, who lives in Florida, and she has been with us for a while now. And she's been, you guys, if you're in our Facebook groups, then you know her because she is one of our captains, and she is now one of us. So we're super, super excited about that. One, because we'll be able to help you guys that much more by, bringing on somebody in-house who knows all of our programs really, really well. And we're just super happy to have like that much more contact with all of you.
Hey guys, how is the buzz? I'm just checking on reports. I know we have a little janky microphone wire, which I think every once in a while it gets a little buzzy. So if you guys can let us know if it's not buzzy, we'd appreciate it. I can just hold this wire in a certain way. Double A Strengths ask, are you guys going to answer questions or what?
Yeah, totally. Let's answer some questions. Well, yeah,
we will. We're going to be getting questions in and out, but we got a few more things we want to talk about.
The majority of this hour is going to be spent on your all's questions. What other things do we have to talk about other than that? I mean, we have a couple of our little bits that we have. So first, we want to talk about the Lumo Run, which we tried out those last few weeks.
Yeah, let's grab the Lumo Run package right here. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, it's over there because I used it. Okay.
Anyway, this is a little package right here, and this is our friend Meredith Kessler, local amazing triathlete who's also on the cover of this thing. Kind of cool, Meredith. And you could see that, let's take a look. It is this little wearable device that you put right above your butt crack. I don't know if I should say that, but your waistline.
It's there, and you basically just like wear it on your shorts. And I was very surprised, honestly, at how accurate the stuff was. And the reason, so a lot of times you get these things and it'll tell you, hey, like if you have a Fitbit, it'll say, hey, you did 10,000 steps today. You don't know how accurate it is because you're not counting the steps. Now, with things like this, where it's measuring your hip drop, it's measuring your cadence, it's measuring these other things, you really don't have usually any sense of whether it's actually accurate or not. You just have to trust it. And with a new device like this, I was a little skeptical at first, but here's the thing. We happen to have a gait analysis expert on our team, Dr. Kyle Bowling, and so I had a gait analysis done. I sent him my video, and then actually when I was with him, he actually taped me again, so I did it twice. And we, when we test people with Kyle, what happens is you send in a video of yourself running on a treadmill or outside. And so what we did is we looked at video of me running outside and running indoors on a treadmill to see if they were the same, if we're kind of picking out the same problems. And we were. The problems were consistent. And it turns out they were the same things that I got out of the Lumo Run. Now, obviously, a gait analysis is way more in depth. There are things that this cannot do. Like this doesn't tell you that my right knee is internally rotating, which it was. But it did pick up the fact that I don't have any hip drop, or have a very, very low hip drop, which is great. But I do have a problem with landing a little bit ahead of my center of gravity, and that it actually picked it up. In this case, they call it braking. Yeah. So it picked that up. So I was very, very, very impressed that this small little device, which I cannot remember the price of, like $100 or something, was able to do some of what we have in the gait analysis, and it was accurate. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Guys, and just to give you guys the metrics of what this thing measures, it looks at your hip drop, which is basically like 2 hips level of one hip drop every time you run. It measures rotation. It measures your cadence, as Craig said, braking, how long your foot's on the ground and how much your body is slowing with each step, as well as vertical bounce. And I think those are the things. Yeah. And the thing that I really liked about it was it gave you like little zones, like the red zone, the orange zone, or the green zone of acceptable places where you are or where you should be. And it gives you recommendations, like very short, tangible exercises that are like 15 seconds, 30 seconds to do, to do before and after.
Yep.
I've been doing the exercises, and they just complement so much all the other strength and mobility and movement stuff we do, and it's just nice to have someone trip in. Have you run with it with the headphones in?
I have, actually. And so the second part of the Lumo Run is that they have like a little bit of a coaching thing where they'll constantly give you tips on it. So for me, the first set of things that they told me were improve my cadence. So they're trying to get me up to 180. So I have mixed feelings about this because, running is kind of my sacred time. So in some ways it was a good reminder, but I quickly was like, okay, stop yelling in my ear and stopping my music. So I didn't feel, I felt like the instruction was decent. The exercises are decent. I think they're good. I think that taking the approach of the Lumo Run, using it on your run and then retesting. I personally wouldn't use it every day as I'm going out to train, but that's also because we have a company that trains people, and I have a lot of knowledge around what that stuff is, and I use our programs and etc. But it is a great supplement. I mean, because having something that is like actually showing you that, hey, on this run, like you have a lot of hip drop, that is a problem. Now, something like hip drop can come from a lot of different, kind of biomechanical deficiencies. So it doesn't necessarily give you everything you need to fix it, but it does a great job of showing you where you might be bumping into some problems, and then it does some in terms of guidance as well.
Yeah, I think this thing would probably shine the most is that if you are working with a physical therapist or a chiropractor or some other running expert, and they have given you a list of things to work on, it's really hard to kind of transition from this, one appointment you did 3 weeks ago where they were telling you something about your hip, and 3 weeks later you're like, am I still doing this right? I'm not really sure. So what's cool about this is this will just give you a little bit more live real-time feed. For me, my problem is that my hips tend to drop a little bit when I run. And the problem is that when it becomes such a sense of normalcy that your hips are dropping all the time, it feels normal. It feels like the natural thing. So for this to kind of confirm and mess around with something a little bit different, it's really cool. But it doesn't give you the big picture on why you should be doing this stuff, why hip drop is even important in the first place. And I think that's where they probably made some decisions and not going too deep because they wanted to make something that was useful in the beginning.
In the grand scheme of these things, and I've tried, I don't know how many of these different types of wearables. Like I've had multiple Fitbits, I've had the Jawbone Up and like 3 versions of that. And at some point I stopped using these because I didn't feel like the information that I was getting was super helpful and actually like helping me change anything about my life. It was interesting to know I went 12,000 steps yesterday, but it's not, and they would miss things like I'd go biking. And I know there have been some updates to these types of wearables. I think that these things are interesting. What I did like about the Lumo Run is that there is some sort of progression where you get data and then you can kind of like look at improving yourself over time and then test again. So I would say it's a piece of the puzzle, but with most things, it's not the whole cake. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, chime in if those of you guys are listening.
Blake said, what is the device? What is the device called?
The Lumo Run.
Yeah.
Guys, also just want to make sure that our sound is good. I know we have potentially a little video lag. I think we were working on that, or hopefully that's improving just to see. But anyway, just chime in. Let us know. It says slow mode.
No, that's the comment.
Yeah, that's commenting. Just let us know if things are all good, and if you need any help or anything, we'll try to make some adjustments.
Meanwhile, let's get to some questions. Let's see. First, Julian says, "Oh, okay. So, hi. For some reason, I can't get out of 160 steps per minute. What are some exercises or drills I can do?" So, you're talking about cadence, and it's a good question. So, one of the, I won't say the easiest thing to change, but it is one of the things that we really like to see people attack is how you approach your cadence, because cadence is one of those things where when you start to improve your cadence, a lot of things start to fall in line. Is it really the connection there that's buzzing?
Yeah. Let's see if this is better. Okay, guys. Sorry, we got a janky ass wire. I'm just trying to hold it down here just to see. Just when you talk, it's only buzzy when I talk. Oh man.
I have this nice, crisp, clear voice, I guess.
Do. Yeah. You know what? I think it's like your acapella background. Like we did a voiceover in New York City, and I'm like going in. I'm like, oh man, I do like camera stuff all the time. And Craig just totally whooped me on the microphone stuff, and he's got this like deep, like James Earl Jones voice, and I'm just like,
All about the resonance.
yeah, something like that. And apparently, I'm all buzzy and everything. But anyway.
Okay, so getting back to Julian's question, how do you improve your cadence? First of all, don't try to do it like people say 180 steps a minute or 90 on one side. Don't try to do it all at once. I mean, you really want to increase it slowly and be okay with the fact if you go from 160 to 162. So if you're going from 80 to 81, 80 to 82 a minute, that's perfectly fine. In fact, that is something that actually the Lumo Run would be good at. Be like, okay, I'm going to work on it today, and then you look at it overall over the course of your run.
I've got two things to add there as well. One, we need to separate our speed from will you be singing? I think maybe Craig will do a little thing. He actually did a concert. It was his birthday last weekend, and he did a little birthday concert in honor of all of his guests.
I did it. We had an acapella show last night. Actually, I thought that's what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too. No big deal. Anyway, it's really hard to separate your cadence from your speed. So what happens, a lot of people struggle to run with a faster cadence because all of a sudden they're just running faster, right? So we actually have a few videos online, but we have a cadence exercise where you run 200 meters, and the goal is just to do a few 200-meter repeats where you're running the same time over the 200 meters, but what you're actually doing is trying to run them at higher and higher cadences, but the same speed, which basically means you're taking shorter and shorter steps as you go.
So will I be singing? Probably not on this specific moment, but maybe sometime soon.
You guys got to do something for us. I mean, I think if we're gonna get Craig to sing.
I like this question actually. So Carrie is talking about runners. I couldn't see what it said there, but it said runners GI. So basically, stomach issues. She says it's not fun to talk about, but would love your thoughts. So one, Carrie, if you want to clarify, like what specific problems are you having? Is it that like you're having distress while you're running on training runs, only during races? Is it certain foods that are annoying you? This is one of the things that I think runners have a huge variance on, and so advice for one person is not going to fit the other person. But we can talk about some general stuff in terms of like being nice to your digestive system.
I know what's nice for your digestive system. Go for it. Probiotics.
Here we go. Well, look, I want to legitimately answer a question for a second, but then we are going to get into probiotics that I'm growing in my fridge right now, and then also inhabit my GI system over the course of the next week. But okay, so GI problems. She's saying, she didn't. Let's say recently. Okay, so for GI problems during races, one, like a lot of times there are things on the race course like Gatorade or Powerade or certain types of gels, etc., that you haven't necessarily trained with. If you're somebody who usually has GI problems, it is something that you need to test out and then make sure you have your stuff available on the race. People say this all the time, but they don't actually do it. When I did Ironman, I think one of the things that I spent the most time on was my nutrition. And I compare Ironman because these days people are doing races, whether it's a marathon or a trail run, that are lasting hours and hours. And if it's anything over a half marathon, and even then, you are out for long enough. If you're out for over 90 minutes, like you really need to focus on nutrition, which is hydration and what's going on in terms of digestion. Yeah. So if you're out for 90 minutes over a trail run, if it's just a fun run and it's just in the weekend, or if it's a race, both times you really need to work on what is good for my digestive system. Am I the type of person who can take in solid food? If I can't take in solid food, do I need to take in something that has high fat, and can I deal with that? Do I need something that is sugary, makes me feel better, but how does my system work with it? Another problem is not drinking or eating early enough. So,
it's basically already too late by the time they really need it.
100%. And, when I do long races, I don't eat when I feel like I should eat. I eat on a interval where I put my watch on, and it'll be every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes, and every so often I will put something in my mouth whether I like it or not. And the reason for this is that I want my system to be digesting food. When you're out for 3-4 hours, you have a lot of blood that's in your system, and it'll start to divert away from your digestive tract. One of the things you see in really long races is people start to have a real hard time with food later on in the race. And it's not necessarily that you don't like that food, like you don't like pretzels or whatever it is. Sometimes it's that once blood gets diverted away from your digestive tract and is towards, let's say, your legs, because you are in this extreme, you're expending energy in an extreme way, blood is diverted to those muscles. And if it is not in your digestive system, all of a sudden that food just sits there. And it just sits, and the Powerade you're drinking is just sitting in your stomach because you need blood in your digestive system in order for yourself to digest that food. Yeah. So keeping something in your system through the race, which means you're constantly putting something in your mouth, that can be really important for these longer races.
And the other thing that Craig is saying too is you need to be eating things that are amenable to those types of situations, so that don't require that much blood to digest, and that you've really practiced. On Facebook, Leota Pearson says, "Hey, tell them to keep a journal so they can track what makes sense and what makes them sick." I think that's a great idea. If you are doing a training journal, adding some nutrition in there, and I mean, Craig nailed it. Like your training runs and everything else, I know they're great, are so important for what you should do. I'll tell you what not to do. Don't take your older brother on a McDonald's breakfast burrito eating contest and eat 6 of them. And then go and exercise hard for an hour after. That doesn't work.
On a serious note, honestly, like anything in excess can make you sick, especially when you're working out hard. I mean, I remember in college, like, people were like, we would basically be competitive about anything, and a couple of my teammates decided to compete on how much water they could drink or how much Powerade they could drink after practice, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna super hydrate. Anything in excess, if you really you think like, oh man, I need to like down water. Like there are problems from hyponatremia, which is overhydrating and then diluting some of the basic salts in your body. Like I think it's salt. You're over diluting yourself. I can't remember.
Yeah, more you're basically you have so much water that your body absorbs fluids through osmosis.
God. Some people are putting in stuff like Red Bull and jelly
No.
Yeah. Also, actually, we have a video, which I really enjoyed watching personally, where our coach, Kirk Warner in Boulder, he has his personal, so he's like, you know what, I want to get away from gels and all this kind of like really sugary, syrupy stuff. And he started making his version of like a power food, which was rice cakes that he put like almond butter in, and I can't remember what all the ingredients, but you can basically like make your own stuff. So then you can like take real food, cook it up. So he has it. It was a really great video. If you look on our YouTube page, I believe it's Marathon Nutrition for Runners.
Yeah, it probably
rice cakes in the title.
It probably came out in December, and it was I believe Kirk was using a cookbook from Alan Lim, and Alan Lim is this pretty well-known exercise physiologist and tinkerer that worked with a lot of pro cycling teams and pro endurance athletes. And he started to get these guys not just on sugary junk all the time, but actually like making, real food because they were just training so darn much. So totally fun to, go full running geek and nutrition geek and just go for it. My younger brother asked me if beards make you faster. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I'm growing one, so I'll let you know.
We'll get back to you, Luke. No worries. What else we got? We got questions about a 10K.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we see that?
So, I'm running my first 10K this Sunday. Any tips or tricks? I can talk about that for a long time.
What do you got?
So first 10K, I mean, first the question, is this your first race or your first time doing 10K? If it's your first time at this distance, which I guess it is, but if it's your first race, there's a lot of things to think about. First of all, congratulations on getting to the starting line. That is a place where most people don't get to, not only because they don't train properly, but also because like hopefully you're healthy and you're going into the race hydrated and without injuries. So hydration is the first thing. 10K is just about on the line where like a 5K you can kind of like you can have a rough night the night before and go out and still probably make it through a 5K, though you won't feel good.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can.
I may have done that on our virtual 5K. Yeah. But a 10K, it starts to get a little bit more real. Now you're out there for maybe an hour, depending on what your speed is, but it is a serious effort, and you cannot kind of fudge your way through this. So one of the things to think about is hydration and sleep, and this goes for every race, but hydration and sleep not the day before, but the week before. It matters a lot less what happens at least for sleep. It matters a lot less what happens the night before, and what really matters is the 3 preceding days. How well did you sleep, right? How's your training in those 3 preceding days? You don't go into the race blown out, but I would say the day before, shake your legs out. You don't have to go for a hard effort, but what I usually do if it's a 10K or a 5K is the day before I'll put on my shoes and go do striders in the grass. So it gets my legs moving, gets my heart pumping, get a good sweat going, warm up, do all my normal stretching stuff that I would normally do before the race.
So how long would that strider session be? Would you include a warm up and cool down? Like let's give them the details.
So absolutely warm up and cool down. That means dynamic stretching. That means going through any sort of problem areas that you have. Afterwards, also cool down. I would roll out. I'd do the couch stretch. I do all these things that I normally have with my warm up and cool down. And then the striders, I would do. Let's see. I would probably do like sets of 2 or 3, you're talking like 50 to 100 meters, and probably do like maybe 3 sets of 3, right? Because you could do a few, like you do it like a set of 3 and wait for a while. And also I give myself plenty of rest. This is not a time, I'm not getting any fitness from this. A very, very important point is in the last week, you can't get more fit. Like in order to get a response from your body in terms of getting more in shape or learning to run faster, you need to give stimulus, which means that you have a hard workout or a hard cardiovascular output, and then your body has to respond to that. You can't do that in a week. So if you're a week out, don't worry about doing hard workouts because that's not going to affect your race. What you should worry about is making sure that you're addressing any sort of nagging pains or injuries, that you're hydrating, you're sleeping well, and that you are loosening your body up. I think one of the things you can do is these striders because it gets you used to running faster than your 10K pace. It's not meant to tire you out. It's just meant to get your body moving and get your legs used to biomechanically, just like your brain is telling your body, hey, this is what it's like to go fast. I'm not going to necessarily go this fast during the race, but get your legs moving, get the wheels going.
Yeah, and the race day of, you are gonna want to make sure you plan a little extra time to park, check in, get your bib, etc. If you haven't done that the night before, and get all that stuff in. And it's good to get a little warm up before the 10K. Like there are gonna be a lot of people milling about with their elbows crossed, but a 10 to 15 minutes, we're including 5 to 10 minutes of some easy jogging as well as with like some leg swings and maybe a few running drills are just going to get you warmed up. And you ideally, like my old coach used to tell me that I should already be sweating when I hit the starting line because then I'm like properly warm and ready to go for that thing. For the actual race itself, 10K is long. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to go out of the gate really fast. So make sure that you kind of hold a little bit those first few miles because the race really starts on the back half, not necessarily the front half. Right. And of course, if you're an experienced 10K person, you're much more dialed in with your paces and you sort of know where you need to be. If you're brand new, enjoy it, enjoy the crowds, high five some people, start a little slow in the beginning, and that will set you up to finish strong at the end and feel successful.
All right, we got a couple more questions here. Let's see. Running Guru, you're hilarious. Thank you for your entertainment. Bethany says, when pushing new distances on a long run, is it advisable to stop periodically? Ooh, love this question. Will that become a habit at some point and hinder me from running long distances without stopping?
Yeah. And guys, before Craig jumps in there, because I know he has an opinion on this one.
I have opinions on all these things, yeah.
Yeah, opinion on all these things. Guys, we are taking your questions. So chime in. We do this every week from noon to 1. This is our live show. We give you little updates on what we're doing with our programs, new Healthy Habits Challenge that's launching on Monday, things like T-shirts. We haven't talked about that yet, but we will in a second. But it's really just meant to connect with you guys. So if you're listening, everything else. Also, this week, we just hit 60,000 subscribers on YouTube.
And we're like over 12,000 in our weekly running tune-up on Facebook. So if you want to look up on Facebook the weekly running tune-up group, it's free to join it. And we have 12,000 people in there like helping each other out, encouraging each other, talking about their training, talking about their races. It's amazing. Join. Yeah.
And guys, just on our YouTube channel, like you're obviously working with Craig and I, but it's not just us. You know, we've got Kirk, we've got Holly, we have Elizabeth, and we have Adam, and we have Dr. Kyle. We've got a lot of people, you know, sharing content and doing different things with us. We're totally stoked about this. So anyway, back to Craig's very strong opinions about taking rest breaks when he runs.
Okay, so I might be a little bit of an oddity, but I stop all the time. I stop at stoplights. I stop at stop signs. I stop just randomly because for me, what I really want to keep up when I'm running is I want to keep my cadence at a certain pace. I want to keep my form at a certain pace. And the thing that's variable from day to day is my body changes. Maybe I'm not hydrated properly. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep. Everything changes about who I am on that run. And how I vary is not that I like, you know, if it's a slow run, I go a little bit slower. If it's a tempo run, obviously, if it's a specific workout, I don't stop. But if for these runs where I'm like going out for 5 miles, like I went out for, I think, 8 miles this morning, and I stopped a lot because what I decided is I need some more hills. We have some gnarly races coming up. So I went up some extreme hills on the first couple miles, and I was tired. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I got up early.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I'm not going to. Okay.
Yeah, you just be quiet. I got up early for me. 5:30 in the morning, that's early. I was still up at 10:45, my friend. And
That's amazing. That's pretty good. I like that.
Okay, so Nick gets up at 4:30 every morning. It makes me feel like a slacker. I feel like I am really doing a good thing now. It's 5:30 in the morning. Huzzah!
Seizing the day. Yeah.
Back to the question, but I stop all the time because I really want my form to stay. I want to keep my form and I want to keep my cadence. And I don't care about whether I ran 8 miles. When I say I ran 8 miles, I don't care if it was 8 miles without stopping. Now, for tempo runs and specifically for tempo runs and for track workouts, obviously, do the distance and don't stop. And I think that the habit of stopping, for me, during a race is a race. I don't look at it the same at all. But during training runs, I don't want to race every time I walk out the door. Yeah. I don't want to have this thing over my head of like, oh God, I got to run 8 miles and I'm not going to stop. Like, no, I stop because I want to look at the birds. I stop because I see something I'm interested in. I stop to take a picture now that we post a lot of stuff online. I stop for any reason and I don't apologize for it.
Yeah, I think it's nice to think about all of your runs in a warm-up, main set, cool-down framework. And, you know, you could at least get 2 walking breaks right there where you're just stopping to do something else.
Or 10, you know.
Or 10. If you're doing track and interval work, yeah, you might be resting in between. That's perfect. I think the things that we just want to be aware of is I'm taking these stop breaks potentially for a reason. And just as Craig said, you might just want to go out for the love of it, leave the watch, and just enjoy being outside. And you might have a day where you're like coming after a race, you're a little tired, your body wants to stop. Go for it. But if you're like in your building long run for your next big race and your body wants to stop, but you're training yourself to push through those things, well, that's an opportunity to actually push through and practice. Running Guru, I think we are going to be at the New York City Marathon this year. We're really excited. We're going to be coming out to New York again in November.
Yeah, we've been out there twice this year already.
November?
Yeah.
We got more questions.
More questions.
Stress fractures. So Hendrik says, and we got a bunch on Facebook, so we want to hit some of those too. Let's go. We'll talk about stress fractures in a second. Paul asks, I supinate when I run, but I have been running in a stability shoe for a while. Can you talk about the effects of the situation? My knees have been giving this some dull discomfort. Also, can you recommend any shoes for me?
Damn, Paula, getting all technical up in here.
Cool. So let's talk about, pronation and supination. So imagine like this side of my hand is your arch, right? So this is my little, hand foot. And isn't this great? And when I pronate, it's basically my foot as it lands, it kind of collapses and rolls in a little bit, right? So there's actually a natural amount of pronation that occurs for everyone. And it's actually part of our natural shock absorption system. What happens when we get in trouble with pronation is not necessarily pronation per se. It is overpronation. It's collapsing too much. And when my foot collapses, so does my knee and so does my hip. So when you look at moderate to high stability shoes, what you're actually looking at are shoes that are trying to control your pronation with arch support. And when they put that arch support underneath your foot, what they're actually doing is they're preventing that foot from collapsing. And honestly, what starts to happen is that the foot gets pushed out the other way into more of a supinated position. So if you find you're in a high stability shoe, but you're also supinating a lot, it could be a situation that shoe is doing too good of a job of preventing you from collapsing, and it's actually pushing you out the other side. One of the best ways to probably, check this would be to go into a running shoe store and see if you could try a moderate stability shoe or something a little lower. We don't want to go to neutral immediately, and just see how it feels. You actually be surprised to believe that one of the number one predictors of a good running shoe for you is just comfort. And you might be like, well, Nate, I don't know what shoe is comfortable or not. Try on like 5 different pairs, right? And don't try on the blue one and the red one and the pink one, right? Like try on like legitimately different performing shoes. And that's going to give you a good sense, not only of what's the right amount of stability for you right now, and but also what's going to be the right shoe for you for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of shoe fit, I think, one, don't pick on colors. I just never understand that. But, people will be people. The thing that we always talk about, and this goes not just for shoes, because shoes are a tool, and they are a tool that sculpt a little bit of how you land, your form. One of the things we talk about a lot with anything like this is it's fine to look at what your biomechanics are and say, hey, what's the shoe that fits me? But when a shoe is trying to do a lot of things, maybe that fits you now, but your goal should always be, how can I move forward so that my body is moving naturally and I don't need it? It's kind of like, it's a little bit like a crutch. Like, for example, if you have orthotics. I mean, a shoe is not an orthotic, but it's
Do you know my wife calls glasses eye crutches?
Yeah, well...
I just thrown that in there. Anyway, continue.
That's nice for people who don't have crappy vision. That's great. I love that. It's amazing. Yeah. She's on here right now. She's going to comment now.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah. But in terms of, let's look at orthotics as like an extreme version of a shoe. Orthotics are great in terms of, if you have a problem and you can get someone to give you custom orthotics and it fixes your problem, if those things happen, great, awesome. But what is your plan for getting out of it? Because the orthotic is not natural for your and it's basically putting a platform underneath your foot. Okay, now your foot's in a good position, but all the muscles and tendons that once kept your foot in a good position, even if they weren't doing their job, now they're going to atrophy even more. And the thing about it is you need a plan for strengthening and mobilizing your body that eventually gets you towards a more neutral state where you don't necessarily need stuff. Now, there are people who biomechanically are just different and they're going to always need a little bit more stability. You might be one of those people, but the goal should never be, hey, I have this problem, fix it with a shoe, fix it with orthotics. That is very familiar to us in our culture because we want quick fixes. We want somebody to say, hey, buy this thing and it'll be better. But the truth is, it's your movement, and this is the basis for everything that we do, which is it's your movement that will make you a better athlete and let you continue to run for years and years to come. Shoes are not going to do that for you. Yeah. Orthotics are not going to do that for you.
Yeah, and we like actually not always being stuck in the same shoe, but wearing different shoes throughout the week, and giving yourself an opportunity to be in a lower stability shoe or just barefoot around the house. I think that's a great thing to do. And then the times you need that bigger supportive shoe, you can do it. That actually kind of dovetails into our stress fracture, question a little bit. So what can you do to prevent stress fractures?
I don't get them anymore, but there was a point in time where I think I had 3 and a few when I was in college. Yeah.
Like a stress fracture, we could sort of think about it this way: is when we're getting these like little mini breaks occurring in your bone. And one of the things that we could really say is that rather than your musculature absorbing that impact, it's literally your bone that's taking that on. And after a while, it's going to not do that anymore, right? And it becomes a real problem. This is potentially interesting. I have a little pet theory, semi-conspiracy theory. Can I share it?
But, I mean, these opinions sometimes are as good as what you've paid for. So
If we can't share that here, where can we share it? I think that with the advent of newer shoes out there that are enabling people to run longer mileage comfortably, I'm going to put this in the maximalist shoe category. And guys, this is not a knock on any specific brand. This isn't a knock on the shoes. I use them and run in them, and I think they're good. But I think what I'm talking about here is the importance of understanding this new technology that's available to us and the impact of it. And what I've noticed is an association with maximalist shoes and higher incidences of stress fractures, at least that I've seen lately. And my feeling basically is this, is that we are thrown into a shoe all of a sudden that is artificially supporting higher levels of mileage than our body's strength and mechanics can actually hold together. So it feels like a lot of that impact's gone away, but guys, like gravity's pulling us down no matter what shoes we're in, right? That impact is going to go somewhere, right? And you better believe that this little cushion of foam, even if it's this much versus this much, that's not, you're not like running on the moon.
And the thing about it is the force, that physical force is still there. It's being spread out a little bit, which might help you and make you feel better initially. But over time, if you make it like, I can totally run my long runs, I can go down trails much harder and much faster now with these maximalist shoes, that force is still being absorbed in your body. I mean, that the shoe is absorbing some of it and your body's absorbing some of it. And if you start piling on miles because, hey, I have these shoes, the thing about running and the thing about endurance sports that's different than, say, playing football or basketball is that if you play basketball, a lot of times the injuries are acute. You run into somebody, you jam your finger, jam your hand, you twist your ankle, and then you know what happened. With running, the stress fracture is a classic example of like something went wrong way, 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 way long ago, like months, maybe years before, and you didn't see it. Maybe because your shoes weren't giving you the feedback that you needed, or you just weren't paying attention and you were going ahead. Maybe for me, I used to just toss ibuprofen back like they were Tic Tacs when I was in college, and I just kept running, and then something would break. And that was a point in time where I didn't really understand how to deal with training. I wasn't getting great advice, but that type of thing these days you have so much more information about how to move better. This is the basis for everything we do at the Run Experience. Yeah,
totally. So we still got a bunch of questions. We can't be on for that much longer, so I'm hoping we can go to like a little rapid fire style, right? We could just go a little bit quicker.
I wanted to ask a question because a lot of these things are okay, we'll do this, and then we'll a lot of these things are answered in our programs, and sometimes people don't understand that we actually have this is the question, how many people out there understand what we have in terms of training programs? They know about the training club, they know about things like our 30-day challenge and our half marathon program. How many of you guys know that those programs exist and what's in them? So just reply in the comments, let me know. Yeah. And while you're replying, let's do some rapid fire.
We'll do some more questions. So I got two questions. One about training for 5K, how, I'm doing, fartlek style intervals. Is that, too much? Should I be doing more than one type of speed work? And Earl asks, your cousin Earl.
My cousin?
Hey, what's up, Earl? He says, I've just time to run for 3 times a week, 2 during the week, 1 during the weekend. What types of runs should I do? Main races I train for are going to be between 5K and half. So for the speed work.
I almost didn't hear it.
So the question is, I'm running. I only have time to run 3 times a week, 2 on the weekdays and 1 on the weekend. What types of runs should they be for a 5K to a half marathon, style athlete? And basically, it's not unreasonable for a 5K runner to do 2 types of speed workouts, right? One would be, shorter, maybe higher end speed focus, maybe focusing around your mile or 2 mile effort. And another one would be longer, strength, stamina focus, maybe doing a little bit more tempo. So a classic example might be, 10 by 1 minutes with 1 minute of easy running on a Tuesday, and then another one might be, let's say, 6 by 4 minutes at cruising at a pace at like your 10K pace or something like that. And those two runs complement each other pretty well. And then a long run on the weekend. So Earl, you could be doing the same thing. Another classic thing if you're beginning is that I've got some speed run, I've got my long run, which is getting me ready for my race, and then I've got one day focusing on drills. So that's how I'd hit that. What's the next one?
So we're getting some on Facebook and YouTube. We're getting mixed responses. Some of you guys know about our programs. I'll talk about it very quickly. Basically, so we have our YouTube videos we put out every week on training, and they're little kind of bite-sized samples of like attacking a certain problem, whether it's nutrition or 5K or 10K stuff or marathon stuff. And then we post on Facebook, and you guys are hopefully in that weekly tune-up group on Facebook, or you're in one of our programs and you're in our VIP group. But here's the thing. All of that is kind of like little bits that we give you here and there. The thing that we have spent so long developing is our training club, and all of our programs in some sense are the same in that every program has videos every day. Every program has mobility, strength, and technique built into the program, meaning like you don't just go through it and say, hey, do some strength. It's actually built in. We tell you exactly what to do, how many to do. We give you videos of all the exercises, and this is for all of our programs. And they all have coaching support. So you get into our private Facebook group, and we have coaches there. We have a team of coaches now. I'm in there. Nate's in there. All of our programs include this. Now, what are the different programs? We have a half marathon program. It's 2 months. We have a full marathon program. It's 4 months. We have a beginner program if you've never run before or if you're really early. We have a foundational program. It's also 30 days, which is our 30-day challenge. And all of these things are meant to kind of progress you as an athlete. We have a new strength program that is just strength for 8 weeks, and all.
And then we got our nutrition challenge too coming out.
Yeah, the nutrition challenge. So we have basically we try to create a video-based system where we give you much more than what you can get online, which is usually just like a spreadsheet of run 3 miles, run 6 miles, run 3 miles. So that's how we track our training, and a lot of the questions that you guys are asking are answered in our programs through the course of doing the program. Our goal with any of our programs is not only to get you to the race healthy and get you stronger and faster. The real like underlying goal is to teach you how to train yourself so that you'll be on here answering these questions. Actually, a lot of these questions that you guys are answering, if you ask anybody who's in our programs, they'll have answers for you as well because they've learned kind of this philosophy of becoming an athlete and mobility and strength as part of your running program. Now, the training club, we mentioned that. The training club is our way of giving you access to all of the programs. We used to sell them separately, and people wanted to move between them and so on and so forth. They didn't know which one to take, when to do each one. People do them all like over and over again. So we created a subscription where you join our training club and you get access to it for however long you want. There's no obligation. You can jump in, jump out, and it's $29.99 a month. And yeah, it's a great deal. There's tons of stuff in there. All of it's available on our mobile app. So that's what we have to offer. Check it out. Whether you join today or you join next month or 6 months from now, join whenever you want. The stuff is there and we're constantly adding to it. But if you really want to take your running to the next level, I hate that term, but like if you want to really step up and not just answer these questions off the cuff and try to implement yourself, but you want a system that like guides you through all this stuff, even if you just jumped in for 30 days and did one program, your entire running world would change, and it would cost you $30. Yeah. So, yeah.
And Gary has been in our programs, and he's commenting on different things. He's like, I got it all. And, even doing things like single leg squats. Totally cool. Steven asks how much are the programs. They're all slightly different prices. The best deal through the training club is actually that monthly subscription, $29.99.
So to give you an example, the 30-day challenge, I think you can, there's probably a link on our site where you can buy it separately. It's $150. And if you do the training club, it's $30 a month. And the program's a month long. The difference being that if you buy the program for $150, you have permanent access to it. The training club is a monthly thing, so you can jump in and jump out whenever you want, but it's a membership, and that gives you access to us as your coaches. The other thing which I should talk about is we have stepped up our game in terms of really interacting with you guys, and we have one-on-one coaching now that's available. And we do a gait analysis. Dr. Kyle Bowling is our healthcare injury specialist, and he does a slowdown of you running and does a gait analysis. He also does injury consultations. So for you guys who are dealing with injuries or something's nagging, you can do 30 minutes, and it's a telemedicine Skype session.
Yeah, guys, they're pretty cool. It's all via Skype. He can connect with you everywhere. And I know I was just talking to a runner this morning who went to their doctor, really looking for some help trying to train through this thing, and the doctor's advice was like, well, just stop running. Why are you doing this? This is silly. And number one, we want you to listen to your doctor, so we're not saying you shouldn't, but number two, there are times when you have certain medical professionals who get it. They understand that there's actually a lot of other options available between running and nothing at all, and talking to a healthcare provider who can actually understand maybe your strength and mobility limiters. They understand that you can do different types of cross training like water running or get on a bike, and they can give you a plan to get you back to running faster while also healing your injury. That's kind of the healthcare that we're talking about, but it's just few and far between. And fortunately, Dr. Kyle is the man, and he'll be able to help you out with those sessions. And guys, it's such a good deal. You can book an appointment. You're not going to have to wait a month. Like, you could get on his schedule like next week.
The other thing, we don't necessarily advertise this, but if you just want to talk to somebody who is an expert coach and runner, I mean, Kyle is an amazingly elite distance runner.
Not slow.
Yeah, he's still, he's outside of college. He's still, what did he do? He clocked a 16:07 in his last 5K. Yeah. He's a monster. We saw him, compete really, really well at the Boston Marathon a couple months back. But if you just want to book a session and just talk with a coach for 30 minutes, you can book a session with him that way. Okay, rapid fire. We have 5 minutes left, and we're gonna just nail as many of these as quickly as possible. Yeah. So I'm gonna nail one, then you nail one, and then ready? What do you think about the 5-finger shoes that intend to give the minimalist barefoot experience? I think they're amazing for hiking. I think that you can run a little bit in them, but I would be very cautious about putting any type of large amount of mileage unless you've gone through a whole series of other steps of, it's very hard to put decent mileage on those shoes healthfully.
For sure. And they also don't really protect your toes, so if you're on the trails, be careful. That is speaking from some clients' personal experience.
Hiking is super fun, though.
Garland says, I've recently fallen on a trail run, not hurt, tripped on a big stick, but now all I think about is if I'm going to fall again. Have you fallen on a run? Yes. How do you mentally get over it? Any advice? Real quick, I do a lot of mountain bike racing, and I used to be a skier. A lot of times when we run and we trip on things, it's because our eyes are looking immediately what's right in front of our feet. And by the time we see it, it's too late. So make sure that when you're running on the trails that you're looking as far down the road and trail as possible. You're capturing that. The buzzing is back. There we go. I got to hold it. Guys, thanks for letting us know. That's actually super helpful when the buzzing is back. I was holding this in a way. Hopefully that buzzing has gone away.
We'll get a new cable for next week. No more buzzing, I promise.
There we go.
All
right. Basically, look further down the trail. Make sure that you are seeing everything, and pick up those damn feet because you're probably dragging them too.
Yeah. All right. So, a better mile time?
Better mile time.
Okay. Are there any workouts that help you get a better mile time? Any meals that help in the process? You're in luck, double strength. It seems like you're in high school from I saw your other questions. One, we have a new coach contributor who's on our YouTube page now, Adam Lane, and he is putting out videos specifically targeted at athletes in high school, and he has a new one on getting a better 800 time and talks about cadence, etc. All that applies to the mile. I would go watch that video on our YouTube page. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. I love it. Let me see here. What else we got? We had a few others further up. Joseph says, I'll be running for my first marathon October 8th in Long Beach. My question to you is it better to train on heart rate or pace? You can do either. Heart rate is going to give you a subjective measure on how your body is feeling in the moment. Pace is obviously something that is giving you that's a more objective, lets you know how to go. Most runners classically just do pace for the most part, but remember, it doesn't matter if it's pace or heart, anything. A lot of it comes down to feel, and all of these different instruments measure your feel. The best thing the last thing I'll say is that if you do want to train and set up some sort of training zone, so you should know either heart rate or pace, you can do a benchmark test. And if you look up tests online, a one that I'm familiar with and have used a lot is developed by a guy named Joe Friel. It's a 30-minute lactate threshold test where you look at the average of the pace for the whole 30 minutes or the last 20 minutes of your heart rate, and then they've got some calculators online. It's not rapid fire. I'm going too slow. Okay.
He's a slow shotgun approach. Okay. Running Guru says we'll meet for a pizza in NYC. Guys, we'll be doing meetup groups here in San Francisco before the marathon and in New York before the marathon. Would love to see you guys. And yes, we'll do pizza. That'd be great. Are there any? Let's see. I got a couple more questions. We have 1 minute.
Oh, I got one from Faith on Facebook. I recently developed a heel spur and have been unable to run. I am leery about getting orthotics, but don't feel I have a choice as long as it works.
First of all, show off your T-shirt. We didn't talk about the T-shirts. This is the new Run Experience T-shirt.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Here's the other one. I didn't have time to put it on before this. Pretty cool, eh?
We did a order for people kind of in our community on our email list. So if you want to get updates to those things, get on those things. Yep. And those will be coming out. So for those guys who waited, it's happening. The heel spur sucks. In addition to just working on shoes and orthotics, technique, strength, range of motion, mobility, you got to look at those things.
Awesome. Guys, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for showing up. Honestly, we love this part of the week because we love the interaction with you guys. Thank you for commenting your questions. We will be back next week for episode 6. Man, we didn't even get to my high-fat yogurt recipe.
We didn't. Okay, we're gonna get back to Craig's weird nutritional stuff next week. Yeah, delicious high fat, if there's any left.
I'll make some new stuff. It'll be good. All right, next week, guys.
All right, guys. Boom. Cheers.
Oh, the awkward moment where you gotta turn this off.
The awkward moment.
Figure out why.
And we are done. See you later, guys.